You probably heard about nuclear weapons being the ultimate threat to humanity, the doomsday scenario that keeps world leaders up at night. But what if I told you there's something even more dangerous lurking in military arsenals right now? Hypersonic missiles. These weapons are rewriting the rules of warfare in ways that make traditional nuclear deterrence look almost quaint by comparison. So how did we get here? And why are countries racing to build weapons that might be more destabilizing than nukes themselves? To answer that, we need to understand what makes these missiles so fundamentally different. Most people think hypersonic just means really fast. And sure, traveling at Mach 5, or 5 times the speed of sound, definitely qualifies. But speed is only part of what makes these weapons so dangerous. What really sets hypersonic missiles apart is something called boost glide technology. Traditional ballistic missiles followed a predictable path. They launch into space, arc through the atmosphere, and come screaming back down towards their target. Think of it like throwing a baseball. Once it leaves your hand, the trajectory is set. Missile defense systems have been built specifically to track and intercept these predictable arcs. For decades, this approach worked. Countries invested billions in radar networks and interceptor missiles designed to knock down incoming threats during their descent. Hypersonic missiles don't play by those rules. After they launch, they re-enter the atmosphere and use aerodynamic lift to maneuver. They can weave, dodge, and change course mid-flight. If a ballistic missile is a baseball, a hypersonic missile is a fighter jet compressed into a warhead. And that changes everything. The numbers tell the story. When a hypersonic missile launches, defense systems have minutes, sometimes just seconds, to detect, track, and respond. At Mach 5, these weapons cover 1.5 kilometers every single second. That's the length of 15 football fields gone in a blink. By the time radar picks up the threat and calculates an intercept, the missile had already adjusted its path. And now, it gets worse. Current missile defense systems are designed to protect against threats flying predictable trajectories at high altitudes. Hypersonic missiles cruise between 30 and 60 kilometers up, right in a gap where existing defenses simply don't work. Too low for space-based interceptors, too high for traditional air defense. It's like they found a blind spot in the entire global defense network. If you're starting to see why this technology is so unsettling, hit that subscribe button, because what comes next gets even more complicated, and you'll want to stick around for where this is all heading. Here's the thing about nuclear weapons. For decades, they've been kept in check by something called mutually assured destruction. The idea is simple. If you launch nukes at me, I launch them back, and we both lose. This grim logic has actually prevented nuclear war for over 75 years, but hypersonic missiles threaten to break that balance, and that's exactly why countries with nuclear arsenals are rushing to build them. Think about it from a military strategist's perspective. You got nuclear weapons, but so does your adversary. You also both got missile defense systems designed to shoot down incoming nukes. Now imagine your opponent develops a missile that can slip right past those defenses. Suddenly, your nuclear deterrent doesn't seem so secure anymore. This is why hypersonic missiles are so attractive to nuclear powers. They're not just offensive weapons. They're a way to ensure that if deterrence fails, your second strike capability remains credible. Russia has announced the deployment of the Avangard boost glide system. China has tested and fielded the DF-17 hypersonic glide vehicle. India has conducted multiple hypersonic technology demonstrations with ranges exceeding 1,000 kilometers. Each country will tell you they're building these weapons defensively to maintain strategic stability. But here's the problem. When everyone builds unstoppable weapons to protect their nuclear deterrent, the result isn't stability. It's an arms race where the finish line keeps moving. Nuclear weapons, for all their horror, come with built-in guardrails, launch protocols, verification systems, international treaties. There's time built into the process. Time to confirm the threat is real. Time to communicate. Time to step back from the brink. Hypersonic missiles compress all that time into nothing. For regional targets, time from launch to impact can be well under 10 minutes. The window for human decision-making shrinks to almost zero. And that's where artificial intelligence enters the picture. Defense systems are already incorporating AI to manage the sensor-to-effector loop, the time between detecting a threat and firing an interceptor. When you're dealing with weapons that maneuver unpredictably at 1,500 meters per second, human reflexes just aren't fast enough. Decisions about tracking, targeting, and engagement are increasingly being handed over to algorithms. But here's what keeps defense analysts awake at night. What happens when an AI system misidentifies a hypersonic test as an actual attack? What happens when automated defenses in one country trigger automated responses in another? We're building a system where machines might make decisions about warfare faster than humans can intervene. And unlike nuclear weapons, which are massive, expensive, and relatively rare, hypersonic technology is spreading. The technology relies on advanced materials like carbon composites and heat-resistant alloys. The propulsion systems, scramjets, and rocket boosters are being refined and tested across multiple nations. What starts as a weapon for major powers could eventually proliferate to smaller nations or even non-state actors. Nuclear weapons have one purpose: total destruction. Their very existence is meant to prevent their use. You don't fire a nuke unless you're prepared for the end of civilization as we know it. That certainly, as terrifying as it is, creates a kind of stability. Hypersonic missiles exist in a different space. They can carry conventional warheads or nuclear ones. An adversary watching a launch has no way to know which type is incoming until it's too late. This ambiguity is incredibly destabilizing. Imagine you're a military commander. Your early warning system detects a hypersonic launch headed towards your capital. You have maybe 5 minutes to decide. Is it conventional? Is it nuclear? Do you launch a retaliatory strike? Or do you risk waiting to find out? This scenario isn't theoretical. Military planners are wrestling with it right now. The problem is that hypersonic missiles lower the threshold for use precisely because they could be conventional. A country might launch one thinking it's another precision strike. The target country might interpret it as a nuclear first strike and respond accordingly. The technical challenges make things even worse. These missiles generate so much heat from atmospheric friction that they create a plasma field around themselves. This plasma can interfere with radar tracking, making them even harder to detect and identify. By the time defense systems get a clear read, the missile is already seconds from impact. And remember, these weapons are maneuverable. Traditional missile defense relies on calculating where a threat will be and putting an interceptor there first. But if the target keeps changing its path, that calculation becomes almost impossible. It's like trying to catch a fly with chopsticks while wearing a blindfold. Countries are pouring billions into hypersonic defense systems, space-based sensors, stratospheric balloons with infrared tracking, networked radar grids spanning entire continents. The European HIDES program alone involves 19 partners and over 30 subcontractors from 14 countries trying to develop an effective interceptor. These defense initiatives operate on a continental scale, requiring unprecedented cooperation between nations. Sensors deployed in one country must communicate seamlessly with command centers in another. The technical complexity is staggering, and the political coordination required is even more challenging. But here's the reality. Offense is outpacing defense, and that gap is widening. For every advancement in detection or interception, there's a corresponding development in speed, maneuverability, or stealth. We're not just in an arms race. We're in a race where one side has a permanent head start. The irony is that hypersonic missiles were developed to ensure nuclear deterrence remains credible. But in doing so, they might actually make nuclear war more likely. They compress decision time, blur the lines between conventional and nuclear strikes, and create scenarios where automated systems could trigger catastrophic escalation. This isn't about being anti-technology or anti-defense. It's about recognizing that we created weapons that fundamentally change the strategic calculus in dangerous ways. Nuclear weapons brought us mutually assured destruction. Hypersonic missiles bring us mutually assured uncertainty. And uncertainty in the nuclear age is the most dangerous thing of all. The technology exists. The weapons are being deployed. If this opens your eyes to a threat that most people don't even know exists, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, because the future of warfare is already here and is moving faster than anyone expected. I'll see you in the next one.